You don't lose power because you were betrayed. You lose power because you let it slide without punishment. Machiavelli never taught you to forgive. He taught you to see clearly and to act before your enemies found the one weakness they need to finish you: your softness. No one destroys an empire in a single strike. Every empire falls piece by piece because of the ones you forgave. The ones who vanished when you needed the most. The ones who praised you when you needed truth. The ones who stood in front of you like saints while carving you open from behind. And you knew you felt it, but you stayed silent to keep the peace, to hope things would fix themselves. And from that moment on, you were no longer in control. You became prey. Try to hold your seat in a game you're slowly losing. If you're building something powerful, if you hold a position others envy, if you live in a world where kindness is treated like stupidity, then carve this into your mind. 7 types of people must never be forgiven, not because they're cruel, but because the moment you let them return, they won't apologize. They'll take your place. 1. The one who vanished. Never trust someone who disappeared during the storm and came back only once the sky was clear. That person didn't stand for you. They stood for victory. They raised their glass when you rose. They shared your name when it brought them praise. But the moment you collapsed, when all you needed was a message, a hand, a warning, they went silent. No presence, no voice, no weight. Not because they were afraid, but because they were waiting, watching to see if you'd fall far enough to be forgotten. And if you survived, they returned with a smile and an empty apology. I didn't know what to say. There is no apology more empty than the excuse of someone who watched you bleed and said nothing. Never confuse someone who comes back with someone who stayed. The one who stayed stood with you when everything collapsed. The one who returns is just checking if you're still useful. 2. The coward. You expect betrayal to come with knives, with spies, with secret meetings. But Machiavelli warned us the fastest way to destroy a kingdom is to crown a coward. Cowardice doesn't always tremble. It doesn't always stutter. It doesn't always hide in shadows. Sometimes it wears a polished face, a calm voice, a perfect speech filled with careful delays. But behind the restraint isn't wisdom, it's fear. A leader who hesitates when a moment calls for a strike infects everyone who follows. Doubt doesn't stay at the top. It spreads downward like rot. Leadership doesn't mean having perfect answers. It means knowing this. Silence kills faster than failure. 3. The flatterer. Not every enemy comes with a sword. Some come with a smile. There's a certain kind of person who never disagrees with you. They nod, they praise, they say you're right, even when you're not. Machiavelli never feared the man who stood against him. He feared the one standing behind him, whispering, "You're brilliant." Because enemies keep you sharp, but flatterers make you blind. Flattery is not kindness. It's a weapon. It rots your judgment. It replaces warnings with applause. Flatterers aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to power, to access, to opportunity. They will guide you to the edge and let you fall just to take your seat. 4. The public challenger. Power doesn't break in private. It fractures when someone dares to mock you in front of a crowd. One joke, one smirk, one challenge in the spotlight, and the illusion is gone. You don't need an army to overthrow a king. You just need to plant out in public. All it takes is one voice. That moment you are no longer untouchable. If you laugh off disrespect to seem above it, you didn't look strong. You looked afraid. And everyone watching saw it. Power isn't about cruelty. It's about control. And control dies when defiance goes unpunished. 5. The ungrateful. Not all betrayals come from enemies. Some come from the very people you once rescued. The ones you defended when no one else would. Machiavelli warned nothing corrodes power faster than ingratitude. It's not just forgetting a favor. It's erasing your role in their rise so they can pretend they built it alone. You built the bridge. They crossed it. Then they burned it. Ingratitude is not passive. It's calculated. They use your mercy as their shield, betting you'll never expose them. Mercy given to the wrong people doesn't create loyalty. It creates resentment. 6. The silent successor. Not every threat wields a weapon. Some wear perfect suits, speak with elegant restraint, and smile like statesmen while serving no one but themselves. Ambition without loyalty is not a tool. It's a time bomb. These men don't rebel. They wait. They say the right words, show up on time, stay neutral in every conflict. They are the most dangerous men in the room because they never expose themselves. They watch. They collect data. They analyze every crack in your armor. They are not your second in command. They're your future replacement, already writing the speech they'll give at your downfall. Talent without loyalty is a loaded gun. 7, the moral manipulator. Some people never raise their voice. They don't rebel. They don't threaten. They destroy everything you built with one powerful tool, morality. When morality is used to attack power, it's no longer about ethics. It becomes performance. They speak in the name of justice. But look closer. They don't want better leaders. They want your seat. They create impossible standards, then punish you for not meeting them. It's a trap. If you respond, you're a tyrant. If you stay silent, you're guilty. Either way, you lose. They are not reformers. They're actors, and your downfall is their monologue. The final lesson. Now that you've seen all 7, what happens when you don't draw the line? They don't break the gates. They rot the walls from within. The moment you tolerate betrayal, you teach everyone that loyalty is optional. The moment you reward flattery, you surround yourself with lies. The moment you let public defiance go unpunished, you invite collapse. You thought you were being wise, but your silence became permission. Have you already seen it? The empty chair when you needed the most? The applause that echoed while you were blind? Then you understand this isn't theory. This is survival. Every time you forgive the unforgivable, you rewrite the laws of your world. You teach your circle that the throne is soft. So this is your reminder. Draw the line or be replaced by the one who does. Because mercy builds graves, but clarity builds empires. Power was never meant to be sentimental. It was meant to be seen. The moment you try to be liked more than feared, you become replaceable. They didn't wear armor. They wore smiles. They didn't shout. They waited, and you mistook it for loyalty. But now you know. The anatomy of a fall. From the throne to the grave. This is the anatomy of a fall. It begins not with a declaration of war, but with a subtle shift in the air. A meeting where your command is met with a paused glance, not an immediate yes. A conversation that ends a second too soon. A loyalty that feels rehearsed. You felt the tremor, but you called it paranoia. You saw the crack, but you called it a shadow. This is how it starts. You become prey, trying to hold your seat in a game you're slowly losing. The rules have changed, but you're still playing the old game. You operate on honor while they operate on opportunity. You speak of legacy while they calculate their next move. You offer second chances, and they see it as a second opportunity to strike. Have you ever worked beneath a man who hesitated when the moment called for a strike? Then you know, doubt doesn't stay at the top. It spreads downward like rot. A general who waits too long gets soldiers killed. A CEO who avoids risk creates chaos below. A father who refuses to lead leaves a family lost. When power hesitates, the system panics. An army doesn't fear its enemies. It fears a commander who doesn't know what to do. And in that hesitation, the 7 gather. They communicate not in words, but in silent understandings. The flatterer shares a knowing look with the silent successor. The one who vanished observes the moral manipulator testing the boundaries. They are a network, a system of rot working in unison, and you are the host. They don't need a meeting to coordinate. Their alignment is natural, drawn together by the scent of weakening authority. This is the crucial miscalculation, believing that your position alone grants power. It does not. Power is a current, an energy that flows from perceived strength. Your title is just a container. The moment the container is seen as fragile, the current seeks a new vessel. They don't admire you anymore. They evaluate you. They ask, are you still valuable? Still rising? Still worth attaching to? You're no longer followed. You're measured. So what is the alternative to the silent surrender? It is not mere cruelty. It is not about ruling through fear alone. It is about the unwavering application of consequence. It is understanding that every action within your domain, every betrayal, every moment of cowardice, Every word of false praise must have a proportional and undeniable reaction. Machiavelli never told you to be cruel. He told you to see. And when you finally see clearly, you'll know there are lines that must never be crossed. Your mercy must be a strategic choice, not a default setting. Your forgiveness must be a reward for loyalty, not a band-aid for disloyalty. To hold power, you must become a student of human nature. You must learn to hear the silence that screams betrayal, to see the loyalty that exists only in the light, and to recognize the ambition masquerading as humility. You must be the one who defines the rules of engagement. Let them know that while you appreciate praise, you demand truth, that while you value counsel, you command action, that while you can forgive a mistake, you will never tolerate betrayal. Your circle will become a reflection of your own resolve. Tolerate weakness, and you will be surrounded by the weak. Tolerate lies, and you will be surrounded by liars. But demand strength and truth, and you will, in time, attract those who possess it. You will forge a structure that cannot be toppled from the inside, because its foundation is integrity, and its walls are enforced respect. The world won't warn you before the next betrayal. The smile will still be there. The handshake will still be firm. The praise will still sound sweet. But you will hear the dissonance. You will see the calculation behind the eyes. And in that moment, you will have a choice, to placate in hope or to act and lead. Choose to act, not with rage, but with resolve, not with emotion, but with clarity. Remove the rot before it spreads. Protect what you have built, because power isn't just about rising to the top. It's about having the strength, the vision, and the will to stay there. They are waiting for you to blink. They are betting on your kindness. They are relying on your hope that things will fix themselves. Prove them wrong. The sovereign's calculus, from reaction to dominion. This is the evolution from prey to predator. It is a metamorphosis of the mind, a recalibration of your very perception. It begins when you stop seeing these betrayals as personal wounds and start recognizing them as tactical data. Each act of defiance, each silent withdrawal, each honeyed lie is a coordinate on a map that charts the true landscape of your power, not the one you wish existed. You must become a sovereign of your own reality. This is not a title bestowed. It is a perspective forged. The sovereign does not ask for loyalty. He cultivates the conditions where loyalty is the most rational choice. He understands that men are driven by self-interest, and he aligns that self-interest with the health of the kingdom. The flatterer flatters because it is profitable. The sovereign makes truth-telling more profitable. The betrayer vanishes because he calculates a better opportunity elsewhere. The sovereign makes staying and fighting for him the most advantageous position. This is the calculus Machiavelli truly taught. It is not about being loved or feared in isolation. It is about being predictable in your consequences and impeccable in your judgments. Your people must know with absolute certainty what happens to those who stand with you and what happens to those who stand against you. There is no ambiguity. There is no letting it slide. Your reaction is not emotional. It is ecological. You are the prime mover in your ecosystem, and you remove elements that threaten its balance not out of anger, but out of necessity. Think of the general who must execute a deserter. Is it cruelty, or is it the essential, tragic math of war? One life taken to save 1,000 from a contagion of cowardice. The leader operates on the same principle. The tolerance of one act of ingratitude poisons the well for all who would be truly grateful. Forgiving one public challenge invites a dozen more. Your mercy is not a boundless resource. It is a strategic reserve, to be deployed rarely and with immense precision. Your softness is the weakness they need to finish you. But it is a weakness not of emotion, but of judgment. It is the failure to act when action is required. The sovereign feels the same emotions, the hurt of betrayal, the seduction of flattery, the desire to be seen as kind. But he does not allow these feelings to veto his strategy. He sees clearly. He acts before the enemy finds a crack. He understands that a swift, decisive action, a dismissal, a demotion, a banishment, is often the most merciful act of the system as a whole. It is a surgery that prevents a plague. This is a final, stark truth that will never teach you in halls of comfort. Power is maintained not by the friends you make, but by the enemies you choose not to tolerate. Your legacy is defined not by how many people you pleased, but by how few you had to punish, because the rules were so clear, the consequences so certain, that few dare to break them. The 7 archetypes are not monsters. They are opportunists. They are a natural result of a system where power is perceived as uncertain. They are wolves testing the fence for a weak point. Your resolve is that fence. Your clarity is the electrified wire that runs through it. Your willingness to act, to see clearly and move first, is the unshakable foundation upon which it is built. They are waiting for you to hope. They are betting on your sentimentality. They are relying on your outdated belief that goodness is rewarded. Transcend that bet. Replace hope with strategy. Replace sentimentality with sovereignty. Become the undeniable force of nature in your own life, and watch as the storms that topple other empires merely bend the branches of your own. The throne is not a piece of furniture. It is a state of being. Occupy it fully, without apology and without doubt. The world does not respect a plea for fairness. It respects a command born of strength. Issue it,